Hi guys, good morning. Right, okay, so it is Monday the 26th of January and I'm up quite early. So tired yesterday after the Sphere. And for those of you who don't know, it's where they're showing the Wizard of Oz. And it's like a special presentation at the Sphere. It's absolutely magnificent. I'll try and edit so there is some footage from what I took. Now, the first thing you need to know is the Sphere is quite away from the main strip in Vegas. So if you do go to it and you booked in to see it, make sure that you set off in good time, because it did take me a while to get there, because obviously a lot of people go to this, they are set times and the traffic gets a bit crazy. Now, from the Luxor where I'm staying, I got the Uber service because it was the easiest way to get there, the most convenient. The monorail does not go by there. There is a tram that goes past it, but I haven't had time to research where to get the tram from, so I was a bit stuck for time. So when I'd set off, I gave it a good hour in advance to get there. Even though it's only 2 miles away from where I'm staying, it still did take a while because you have to wait on the taxi to arrive, obviously, and then there's the traffic, so bear that in mind. Now, when I got to the Sphere, it was a really, really great experience, queuing with lovely people. Got into the auditorium, there was shops there, but the actual calibre of the merchandise, I'll be honest, I wasn't impressed by that. It was your standard t-shirts, like your pullovers, your sweaters, sorry, and they were quite pricey for what you got. Now, usually I like to get key rings or fridge magnets, and I found that the quality of those things, well, firstly, I couldn't really find any decent fridge magnets, and the key rings were of a really basic standard. They could have upped their game with those and done something really special. They did have some nice poster prints of the Wizard of Oz, and they were like advertising the show at the Sphere, but it was very pricey. It was like a metallic poster, and I think there were 3 different ones, and they were $69, I think. So went into the auditorium. There are these shops, and you do get a limited amount of time before the screening begins. The seating plans are quite complicated to understand when you first get there if you've not been to the Sphere before, so ask someone. There are ushers about and they can let you know where to go. Now, when you go into the actual Sphere itself, there are the option of lifts, but there are the option of escalators. When you go in, as I said, it's all about the timing. You don't get a lot of time to organise yourself to get ready. Make sure you arrive the full 45 minutes that you're allowed before the screening begins, because if you want to get a snack, if you want to get a drink, you've got to obviously bin those when you go through security downstairs, because there's a metal detector and everything. So you need to make sure that if you want a drink, go and get it. Now, the other thing before the actual screening itself is they have some booths where you can have your photo taken or do like a little video to honour the experience. Now, these booths, there's big queues for them. What I would advise you do is get that done before the screening. I was lucky enough to get a video one done before I went in. When I came back out again, it was very rushed and they wanted to get you out of there, so you won't get chance. And I think they actually shut the machines down. So make sure that if you want to get that experience, do it before the film shows. because it definitely is worth doing. It's something different, something you can only get from that experience, and I don't think it's due to last long. I think the screening, according to one of the staff, they said they were looking at about May 2026 for its finish time, and then once it's gone, and they'll move on to the next project. So this is the important bit then, going on to the actual screening itself. Sorry, I'll just take a drink. Cheers. Sugar-free Monster, early morning. Oh. Right. Going into the screening, I'd seen a lot on YouTube, and I was curious as to what the setup is when you go in. So you're presented with like a regular theatre screen, and there's kind of like some speakers hanging from above and from the side to help you with the experience. All of that is projected. The actual magic that happens are a number of speakers on the base of the auditorium. You've got like a strip line at the bottom that lights up during the actual presentation itself, and you've got fans that blow around everything, and there's holes in the ceiling of the sphere that open up during the course of the presentation, and things drop from it. So it's a real unique experience. You'll never see anything else like it. It's a bit like our version of the IMAX back home, and it's so surreal, it's amazing. Now, the thing that was a little daunting is the fact that when you get in there, the actual seating is so vertical. I've never seen anything like it, and there are handrails to hold on to, but I can see how people suffering from vertigo might not be able to be in there. It is very cramped, it is very close, and when you're trying to find a seat in the middle of a row, make sure you get there early, because if you don't, you've got to get everyone to literally stand up. There's none of that sitting back and moving your knees so people can get by. Oh no, there's just no room. They all have to stand up and you have to walk past them. So if you're in the middle of a row, I would suggest that you get there. Now, I was in section 405, row 8, seat 22 when I went. And what it doesn't show on the map when you book it is that you're quite far back under that. You're not at the back, but you're quite far back. And I'll come on to why that's important later on. Now, sat down, everything was good. People were all happy. There was no bother from anybody. And the presentation began. From what I've seen online, everyone says, yeah, the tornado sequence is probably one of the most impressive. I have to agree. When it begins, and it's in the black and white or the monochrome or whatever you decide to call it, it's like a brown and white really. When it starts with that, the clarity of the characters, the actual quality of this print that they've made is superb. In parts, there are bits where the characters' faces, if you're not looking at Dorothy or the main characters, if you look to the side at some of the others, you can see that they've maybe skimped on the quality with those, because at some point their face does like disfigure. So even though this print is restored, I don't think they've done it on everything, but that could be to do with the fact that the images are stretched around the auditorium, and it makes it quite difficult to do, I'm guessing. It's still incredible. It's an incredible experience, and I would definitely recommend it. So, moving on to the effects. Now, the tornado scene is fantastic. It's the first experience you have of what this theatre can do. So, everyone's seen The Wizard of Oz, you know what I'm talking about. The bit where Dorothy is swept away by the tornado and the house is picked up. Now, what begins is a load of like paper, tissue paper leaves flying about. You get the fans on full blowing. There's a wind going through the actual theatre, and all these leaves go all over the place, and it's really good. It's just absolutely amazing. You feel like you've been taken up in the actual tornado yourself and joined her on this journey, which you kind of have. It's just amazing. It's definitely something that I'll probably never experience again, but I'm glad I did. So once you've got through that, you've obviously got the unveiling of colour, which I believe was the first colour experience that was ever graced on TV. I mean, bearing in mind this film was, I believe, 1939. It was one of the earliest examples of what television could do back then, what theatre could do. Not television, what theatre could do, because no one had TVs. But the fact that Technicolor was coming in, they've definitely upgraded the quality of the colour on this film. It's amazing, and as you see it, even though the main film itself is basically at the bottom of the screen, I was so tempted on so many occasions to explore what was above, because they've extended the actual scenery, so all the trees and everything, they all surround you from all angles, and it's amazing to just like go away from the main character and have a look at what they've actually done with this. The other scenes that were really enjoyable were, there's like a raining scene where it covers you in like these foam dots. I was a bit worried because I was wearing white clothes and I thought, I don't want it to mark my clothes. Don't worry, it does disintegrate, it doesn't stay. It might look like it's going to leave white dots on you, but it doesn't, it disappears, so don't be worried about that if you do get a chance to go. Right, the main thing that I was looking forward to in this was the talked about apples that drop from the ceiling in the tree shaking scene where Dorothy's taking some apples. They do drop, but what they don't tell you is not in section 405. The sections that drop it are the front ones, so these are the premium seats that are more expensive. I went for section 405 because it was more a budget seating plan, because they're not cheap to go see this. I think my ticket was over $100 just for the 75 minutes, and I didn't have any chance of getting an apple, but we'll come on to that. So when the apples fall, you can see from the actual ceiling in the place, there are like sections that open and you see them all fly down, but they're only in the first 2 or 3 sections from the front. So being in section 405, I was in the second unit. It's like the balcony up. If you go in the first section before the segmentation bit, you'll be able to have a chance of getting an apple that way by catching it. So something to bear in mind when you book in, if you want the true experience, knowing that you caught the apple that you keep, go for that. It will cost you more, but it is pretty cool. I'm trying to think what else to say. The colours throughout the show are magnificent. The print is actually, of the film, is a revised or abridged version. It comes in at 75 minutes, which I believe is about 15-20 minutes shorter than the original presentation. It is unique. It is something that I had to see the minute I saw it on YouTube, and the minute that I saw it, I knew it'd be something that I could review for this channel. It's just great. The only thing that was a little bit disappointing was when the film had finished and when we came out, because I found that thing with the photo booth, which I mentioned earlier, there was one member of staff that was quite rude, and she obviously wanted to get us out of the building, but one of the booths was still on. They switch them off, and it says thanks for visiting within about 10 minutes of the film finishing. So if you haven't done it before you go in, you've got very little chance of doing it again. It just switches off and you can't select it. It goes thanks for visiting. Now there was one where it hadn't done that, and I went over to it, and this member of staff, she was quite rude actually, just stepped in and went nope, like that. It wasn't sorry you can't do that, it was just nope, basically get out of the way. And it did tarnish the experience a little bit, because I thought that was a little bit rude. But obviously they are stressed out to get people out, so I didn't say anything, but it would just kind of, you could have maybe thought of different words to say. Maybe, I'm really sorry, but we have to get people out. It would have made it a little bit nicer of an experience. And when you're on that high from going in there, it kind of annoyed me a little bit, I'll be honest. So the other good things about this thing, about this presentation, the food. The food is incredible. I went to get a drink. I got like a lemon and lime drink, which was about $7. And I was starving. I hadn't had lunch. It was the 2:00 show. So I went for the hot dog. Now the hot dog was quite reasonable. I think it was about $8. It wasn't too bad. And they'd run out of ketchup, so I suppose it's been popular. But they did have some mustard, so I ended up with a hot dog with mustard on, and it was lovely. It was absolutely fantastic. But you have to buy the food before you go in, because when you come out, they close the cafe down. You can't get food again. The things that were a bit overpriced, I found, were the beers. If you wanted a beer in there, they had cans which were maybe a pint and a bit. They were really tall cans, granted, but coming in at $17 to $19 a piece, it is quite pricey. So I skipped on that, didn't bother. I went for a lemon and lime soda or pop, and that was about $7. So food, spent about $15, but I got a hot dog and a beverage, so it's pretty good. And the only other thing was, when I was there, because of the seating, and I said about the thing with people with vertigo, they did have an incident where someone of an older age had actually fallen, and they had like a nosebleed, and I did see them later on, and they were holding like a handkerchief to their nose, and it was full of blood, so they must have hurt themselves. I don't believe they'd got an ambulance involved or anything like that, but if you are taking older people, if you're with elderly relatives, be very vigilant of where you're going to be sat. If you sat towards the back, it is quite unnerving, the height of it. I would suggest paying that little bit extra and going towards the front. So the last bit, during the presentation, I was absolutely gutted. I had no chance at an apple. Well, fear not, because when you leave, you do have the chance to purchase one. So I did get one. So there we go. So it is pretty cool. The actual stalk of the apple is it's like a cord thing, like it's like a shoelacy bit tied in a knot at the end, and you're stuck on leaf and Wizard of Oz at the sphere, and it is very squeezy. It is a daft thing, and it's even got the base of the car in the same like shoelacy material. So it is quite a daft pleasure, I know, but I had to get one, and if I couldn't catch one, I thought, right, I'll buy one. It was $10, granted, which I didn't think was that bad. It's something that you'll always remember as getting from that time, and I don't know, the minute I heard about these and knew what they were doing with it, and how you could catch them. I think it's just the fact that if you don't get one, you can still get one. So I did cheat, unfortunately, but because of where I was sat, I had no hope in hell of catching one. So that were all I got. Oh, and I picked up a couple of leaves. What you'll find is if you don't get a leaf during the performance, you'll be able to find them. So that's all they are. They're like a tissue paper leaf. That's during the tornado sequence. So I've got that and that. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's just one of those silly things. I had to get one. If I'd come out of there not with one, I would have been quite upset and fed up. So I had to do it. So that's my review. I mean, if you do go, please, you know, as always with this channel, like and subscribe. But if you want to comment on your experience, tell me. Share with the audience what you thought. Did you like it? Did you have fun? I hope you didn't have any accident while you were there on the steps, because they are very treacherous. But let us know. Share it. It's great. I love the experience. I would go again if I had the time, but it does take up the majority of your afternoon or your part of the day when you go. It is quite a hassle getting there and getting back afterwards. I had to wait quite some time for a taxi, even though it was an Uber, still took time to come through. So it does take a long part of your day up. Just bear that in mind. But as I said, please like and subscribe. If you like what I've said today, please, you know, share your thoughts. Let me know. I'll try to do as much as this type of stuff as I can. Obviously, things like your life, your working life and everything do get in the way sometimes. But the opportunities that I get, if I do get a chance to do these, I will. The only other thing I would say is if you go in, they don't mind you taking your phone in to film. So the content that I did make was from my phone. It wasn't from my GoPro. I've heard that if you take professional recording items, so equipment, they will probably confiscate it or they'll take it off you. So don't do that. Just take your phone. A lot of our phones these days are good enough, and if you can take the actual shots, the pictures from that, and short videos, they don't seem to mind. So as I said, just bear that in mind when you go. Right, I'm off now. As always, like and subscribe, and yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back in touch with more content soon. Thanks again from Vegas on a very cold 4 a.m. morning. I don't know why I'm up at this time, but yeah, take care. Until next time, bye-bye.